You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being with us Monday through Friday, being an everydayer, whether you're joining us at youtube.com/Locked On Nuggets or on podcast, wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the like. We're glad to have you with us, especially those of you who are part of our Everydayers Club. Our Everydayers Club is available at lockedonnuggets.supercast.com, where you can sign up, join our Discord. That's bumping. Got a lot of folks hanging out in there. It's growing every single day. We're doing content. We'll have breakdowns of if and when the Nuggets do a small trade to deduct the tax. We will have analysis on that. Plus, we'll have coverage throughout the playoffs, in-depth scouting reports, and more. Appreciate it for you guys being with us. I definitely forgot to actually unmute myself during the intro to this episode, so I'm gonna actually have to go back and redo that because I haven't slept much because of all the trades. So that's fun. Appreciate you guys being with us tonight as we recap the Denver Nuggets loss to the New York Knicks tonight. They lose to the Knicks 134-127 in double overtime. On tonight's show, the first segment, we'll talk about how the game went, the highs, the lows, and all that. Second segment, we're going to go about the decision to play everybody on the second night of the back-to-back, the injury to Peyton Watson, how this can possibly affect the Nuggets, etc. And the third segment, we'll talk about the big picture stuff and kind of look at, okay, they've lost 3 in a row. They are 23-17 since the great start, which apparently is something that some people are talking about. Where are the Nuggets at? Are they good? Are they bad? What's up with the defense? Jokic, etc. We'll talk about the big picture stuff in the third segment. Let's start with this. The Nuggets, I thought, competed really well tonight. We'll get to all the stuff about the decision to play, but they did compete. They competed really, really hard in this game. This was a well-fought game against a quality opponent in the New York Knicks. And it comes on the second night of a back-to-back after facing a physical Detroit Pistons team, after facing the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday. Like that is the 1 seed in the West with the best record, the second best team in the league, and number 1 seed in the East, and then the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. That is a murderer's row. That is a brutal schedule stretch the Nuggets walked into, and they really did fight in this one. Nikola Jokic tonight, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists, only 10 of 27 shooting, 1 of 13 from 3. We'll talk about it. No turnovers for Jokic, though, with 10 assists. Pretty good. He was a +3. They won his minutes tonight. Jamal Murray, 39 points on 15 of 33 shots. Only 6 dimes, but he did have 6 dimes, 4 turnovers, 1 steal, a -11 because of the bench minutes. They did get 19 points from Tim Hardaway Jr., who got back into the shooting rhythm in this game, which is good to see. 6 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3 for Tim Hardaway Jr. Bruce Brown with 10 points, but he was a -12 tonight because of how the bench unit played together, which we'll talk about. How about Julian Strawther? 11 points in this one, 4 of 5 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, and a +4. Julian's been playing really good basketball for the last week. He's just been really good, and we'll see whether he's still on the team by Friday. But Julian Strawther has had himself a good week of basketball, and it's good to see. And it's a good reminder that, as I always say, guys have good months and guys have bad months. Everybody's going to have a stretch where they play pretty well, though. Peyton Watson only played 33 minutes tonight, injured after those 33 minutes, came up with a hamstring injury. We'll talk more about that in the second segment. Christian Brown started tonight. The plus-minus is good, 4 points. He did have 6 assists, which is really good, 7 rebounds. He did contribute other things, and I thought his defense in the fourth quarter was terrific. I thought he did a great job on Jalen Brunson. He's a big reason they were able to force overtime. So it's a credit to CB for that, but he was 2 of 6, and the number of shots that he record-scratched was quite frankly incredible. Spencer Jones also suffered an injury after the first quarter. He suffered during the first quarter. He kept playing. He got hit in the head he hit his head on Karl-Anthony Towns' head, and Towns was bleeding. And Jones kept playing, but then he had to leave the game and did not return after halftime with a concussion. So he's going to miss, I don't know how long. He'll be not too long. It'll be like 5 to 6 days, maybe max. He might be back next game. We'll see whether he can clear concussion protocol or not. So those are like the baseline things. I thought The Nuggets led at various points in this game. Like, they actually had a lot of chances to steal this win. And there was a lot of points where I thought they were going to be able to get it together and be able to separate and maybe win this game outright in regulation. Like, I thought they were in a really good spot. They went on a 17-8 run +9 from the 9:37 mark to the 3:23 mark of the fourth quarter. And that put them in a really good position up to with 3:23 remaining. They had a lead going into clutch time. And once again, the clutch time stuff falls apart. And I'll say, I think the clutch time issues from earlier in the season were a little bit different than this. The clutch time issues early in the season felt like it was everybody trying to figure out how to play together again. It was more of like familiarity and continuity. And this obviously the big four have played together. Christian, like the big three and Christian have played together a long time. But Cam kind of changes some stuff, and so I think there were some issues there. However, lately, I think this one in particular was their clutch time problem. It was on the two stars, and I think it's okay to equally blame the two. Jamal, I thought, for whatever reason, got caught on switches with something he doesn't do a lot. They have so many counters to switching defenses in terms of veer backs and rejecting screens and rescreening and putting Yoke back in as the ball handler and all these things. And instead, Jamal just dribbled a lot. He just dribbled the air out of the ball and ISO'd. And that's one of the reasons. Now, he was hot tonight, obviously 39 points, wanting to put on a show at the Garden. But I will say, like, Robinson, people are like, I didn't like the Robinson one where he loses the ball. It's not like Robinson's a good space defender. He just had a really good possession there. It was a credit to him for getting the steal. Jamal doesn't typically do that. And I will tell you, that's where actually I think the fatigue sets in. Where you're like, why would you try an ISO attack if you're tired? Because it's easier than trying to make the read. It's easier than trying to get downhill and then trying to make a complicated read against others. Like, it's easier to just be like, I'm just going to dribble and then get into my shot because you know how to try and get there. And when you're tired, I think the mental side starts to slip. And so I do think that was a fatigue factor because Jamal just typically doesn't do that. Like, Jamal is not a guy that over dribbles and takes a bunch of shots. That's not who he's been this season. That's not who he's been here in his career. It has not been his identity, but I did think that tonight he was rough with overemphasizing on trying to attack switches. I don't know if he was just like, I've got it going because he had 39 points and, or if it was, okay, Peyton Watson isn't out here, so I've got to create and Jokic still isn't comfortable. So that was rough. I did not like tonight's game from Nikola Jokic. I understand that he scored a lot of points and had a lot of rebounds and had a lot of assists. I understand that. There is no way for me to get around him shooting 13 threes and going 1 of 13. 13 of his 27 shots were from 3-point range. He was 9 of 14 from 2. If they go in, everyone's saying, what an amazing shooter. I get that. I understand that, right? I'm going to say that he killed them with a 3-pointer. What I saw was a guy who, when the Knicks once again got physical with him, particularly Mitchell Robinson, he moved to, okay, I'm just going to, especially when the things weren't being called, he started being like, okay, I'm just going to space out and shoot threes. And I just don't think that that's a sustainable strategy. I don't think that's the right way to attack. And if you're in a position where you don't feel like the things that you can do, as far as the things that have always worked for the Nuggets, are going to work because of your physical status, then you need to move off ball and set more screens or run as a decoy and let other guys use action to create leverage, because just settling for 3-pointers constantly, I didn't think it was a great look. If I am of the opinion, and I've held this for a long time, if a guy is hurt, you can give him grace, but if they are willing to play, you have to judge them because they have put themselves out there to play. And so, like, as an analyst, you have to analyze them. As a fan, you have a right to hold them accountable for how they played. It's okay to be understanding. He doesn't look comfortable. He definitely banged his knee early on that weird sequence, definitely tweaked it, was not comfortable. And I understand him being like, I need to play so that we have a chance to win, but I can't really go to work, and I'm not trusting my shot on the inside, my post moves. So I'm just going to but I don't know that these shots gave them anything. I just don't know that those shots when you're going 1 of 13 and the Knicks are basically like, show us you can hit them. And you just continue to not, that's problematic. And if you want to say somebody else has to do something, I agree. It's just like they were running split action. They were running various sequences. The Knicks defended it well because the Knicks are playing great defense right now, and they really wanted to win this game. That was evident. Like Karl-Anthony Towns is always extremely jacked up to beat Jokic. So I think this was on the two of them. I don't think David Adelman coached a good game. I don't think it was officiated well down the stretch. Them losing their timeout to the Christian Brown foul that wasn't a foul was absurd. That they had to challenge that. That was absurd. At the same time, I don't know that I will say, as I said during the Russell Westbrook foul last year in the Wolves game and on the Jeremy Grant where he got fouled and won the game for the Blazers, I do not like games like this decided on calls like that. So I was against the call on Mikal Bridges shoving Christian Brown. It was a foul. He shoved him. There was time left on the clock. The announcers were surprised. I personally don't want that foul called in any circumstance. And the pain of it is like that only prolonged the number of minutes the Nuggets had to play, and they still lost. The bench, I'm getting pretty worried about. The bench because of where they're at in the flow of things versus how they were playing without Jokic. We'll talk about that. Plus, we're going to get into the decision for them to play everybody in this game and why I have such a problem with it. Coming up on Locked On Nuggets. This show is brought to you. Let me get my stuff up here. This show is brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills, certifications, and location. If I'm hiring somebody, I don't want someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump right in. Indeed saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In a minute, I've been talking to you. Companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. We're also brought to you today by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver, and you get real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. So nice just be able to get those little updates, like where are my taxes at? Okay, this process, I can expect it then. All that is really helpful. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get to the question in the next segment of whether this is just, quote, not the Nuggets year. We're going to talk about that in the final segment. I'm worried about the bench. So this is what's really funny, man, is, okay, they played so well without Jokic. They went over 500 without Nikola Jokic for a month. He comes back and they lose 3 straight. I did warn you of this, that the Clippers game, I think, was adrenaline, and a Clippers team that obviously was going through some stuff considering that James Harden got traded a few days later. I thought Joker was great in that game, obviously 31 points in 25 minutes, but since then he's come back down to earth because it's now the recovery part. He's no longer fresh. He's no longer not getting bumped around. He's no longer having all those kind of things. The bench, though, I'm having a really tough time with because they're having a really bad stretch of games. And it's funny because like combinations that had been working are not working. And it's not just, for a while it was like, well, they're not playing the bench with Jamal or Peyton or Nicola. Well, tonight they did stagger Jamal. And what do you know? Jamal goes back to a -11 because he's no longer playing that rotation. I don't think it's that Val's playing badly. What is happening now, I will say this, and this is something that I should have talked about more when we kind of talked about adding Val. I have noticed this over the last couple of years. When you get into high pressure situations against good teams, they do go after his catch on post ups. So in the regular season, most of the time when you post up, guys will just give it to you and then you go to work, right? But if you're really challenging him and you're really going after that ball, like you're seeing this, that he's not getting clean catches the last couple of games. Thunder, Pistons, Knicks, all disrupted his ability to catch the ball clean, which makes for these scattered possessions where the ball is not where it's supposed to be. And so guys aren't where they're supposed to be. And it winds up being really weird. Julian's playing really well as part of the weird part of that too, is that they're like Julian's playing well, and yet the bench is really struggling. And I don't think it's one guy. Like, I don't think it's Tim Hardaway Jr., though he was bad in the Thunder game, especially. I don't think it's just Val. I don't think it's just Bruce. I think it's just like a combination of how those guys have played together. They haven't had their rhythm. And maybe that's it, that just like, hey, they were able to play more minutes together when Jokic was out. And so they were able to get longer stretches. And so they were able to build better continuity because some guys need that. But for whatever reason, the bench stretches have been really poor. I don't think Joker played great tonight, but he was a +3. They won his minutes and he scored 30 points with 14 rebounds and 10 assists. Those are facts, right? I don't think Jamal played badly tonight until they got to overtime. And he was clearly out of gas. He had 39 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. I think they had enough tonight to win this game, even after Peyton got hurt. They could have won it, but they didn't. And that's really the problem. I couldn't believe that they did this. I could believe it because I've seen this team do this enough. Here's what I'll tell you. The outside perspective that the team presents is that the coaches is that the training first is the training staff. The training staff is responsible for whether or not the players are cleared to play. From there, in consultation with the players, a decision is made on whether or not they're available. And then the coaches take that information, and if they're told they're good to go, they play them. That's how it's presented to us. My understanding is that the players, especially the superstars, particularly the superstars, have the say. They have a superstar is like, I'm playing. Then he plays. And that's just like how it is. When it's lower players, you have more control because you don't have that much swagger, that sway, that control, that influence. So I understand that they lost 2 in a row and felt like they had to stop the bleeding. I understand they probably felt okay. Joker after the game said he felt fine. That he was like, no, I'm good. I don't feel tired at all. I wouldn't have even minded if Joker played and you sat everybody else. Here's my problem is that, like when I looked at the schedule preseason, I said January is going to be your toughest month, but it's also the time when you can play your best basketball. They did not get to do that because they had so many injuries, but they still made it out of there. But look at the schedule. They were playing back-to-backs, 3 and 4s, 5 and 7s, 7 and 9s. Travel, home, travel, home, travel, home, travel. This has been a grueling month from a how teams get affected by rest standpoint. Fans tend to think like, oh, that's a brutal stretch. You played all these good teams. Playing the best teams 3 days apart is fine, but playing a good team and then a bad team on a back-to-back and then another mid team on a 3 and 4 and then going and then back into the every other day. This was a nightmare stretch for them. And that's with the injuries. And just like in 2022, guys had to put more mileage on than they were planning the season. And that is probably good for them, including Peyton Watson, even though he's young. Like he's had to play more minutes. He's had to play harder. He's had to do more. He's had to be on ball more, which takes so much out of you. Jamal, it's clear, is gassed. Then you need to look at the game and say, okay, what is the objective here? And their argument is if we play, it gives us the best chance to win. Quote, that's what coaches love to say, best chance to win. My problem with this is your best chance to win this game was low anyway. You walked into a game where if you're fully healthy on the road versus the Knicks, you are underdogs. You are expected to lose that game because of home court advantage and how good the Knicks are. They're not better than you. They're probably power rated within range of one another, but you're an underdog. Without Cam and without AG, you're more of an underdog. On the second night of a back-to-back, you're more of an underdog. With Jokic on what was supposed to be a minutes restriction in that he played in a game where he played 44 minutes, you're even more of a dog. And this, you don't like the betting talk, it's just your win probability. You can translate how much of a dog you are to your expected win probability. You were not expected to win this game because you're facing a great team on a back-to-back. So if you're going to play everybody, now it becomes this problem of you got to come out with a win, because otherwise what you did was you burned your jets, you risked injury, and in this case walked away with one. Spencer was a freak accident. He's fine. That's not a big deal. You walked away with another injury to a core wing player, and you didn't get the win. I'm not saying like if you're going to play everybody, you got to make sure you win, because like the shots go in, the shots don't go in, whatever. But this is what has to factor into your decision. You can't walk into this. And I don't, honestly, here's the thing. I don't know whether it's Jokic who says I'm playing, and then everybody's like, well, big fella's playing, I'm playing. Or if it's just an individual thing, or if the training staff is like, everybody was good to go. According to our tests, they all cleared. I don't care. What I do know is that we do see fatigue leads to injuries. We see that consistently over and over again. And there was no reason, given the context. This is the important part. You have played two hyper-physical teams in the last 3 days in extremely tense environments. After a month where you played a ton of games in a short span with a lot of travel, and you're on a back-to-back, and you're unlikely to win. If you had punted this game and rested everybody, you would have walked away with the same result. You would have taken the loss, but you would have gained the rest. Now you've lost both. You lost the game, and you lost an opportunity to rest people. I'm not blaming the training staff or Peyton Watson getting hurt. Guys get hurt. We'll talk about that final segment. Guys get hurt. This is the league. Swipa is all over me because he wants me to basically admit that the Nuggets are the most injured team in NBA history, which they're not. Have you guys had a bottom 10th percentile for like the last 5 years? Yeah, you have. This has been a horrible injury year for you. It has been an atrocious injury year for you. You have had a horrible streak of luck. This happens. Like, it does happen. I have seen worse. Not much, but I have seen worse. Then Peyton got hurt. Peyton's young. If anybody was going to be okay, it was probably going to be Peyton. It's bad luck. But you risked it anyway. Whether the fatigue had anything to do with Peyton's injury or not, and it may not have, you still put yourself into this position where you risked all of this for a low leverage game. If this is the Wizards and you have an opportunity, you can be like, look, we can stomp this team, not have to burn our jets, break the losing streak, and we'll probably not have to go over the minutes restriction. Great, cool, awesome. You're facing the Hawks. Okay, they're like a mid-tier team. They're below 500. Fine. This is the New York Knicks with Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson, along with Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. This is a great team. And so putting yourself out there was too much of a risk. And I just do not think that the decision-making process from whomsoever it was sound for this one. Okay, so are the Nuggets doomed? And that's the question everyone's asking after they lost 3 games in a row for the first time this season. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about, is this just not their year? Some of that and more coming up on Locked On Nuggets. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's a perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. I like Rashid Shaheed for MVP, 30-1. You get the punt return potential. What if this is like a grinded out, low scoring, disgusting game, which would be fitting of the season, which isn't real. And Shaheed scores a punt return, catches a touchdown, and gets a 2-point conversion. I can see it happening. I like Rashid Shaheed for MVP. If you're a new customer, just bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, football season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making this party today. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. Go sign up at lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. Whatever happens tomorrow, Ryan Blackburn will have the best write-up imaginable at both Mile High Sports and for our Everydayer Club. I'll have an analysis on whatever they do as well. You're going to get exclusive content. We're doing shows, all sorts of great stuff, plus the Discord, ad-free episodes, which everyone loves. So much great stuff. Check it out at lockedonnuggets.supercast.com. Okay. All right. So let's talk about where the Nuggets are at. Okay. They've lost 3 in a row. If you were curious, they lost 3 in a row 3 times during the 2023 title season. So that has happened. There have been questions about is this just not their season? And I will tell you, I am not there. I do not blame you for being of that mindset. If you like, I can't sit here and really tisk doomers, because that's like how I've been as a fan of the various teams that I've rooted for most of my life. Most of my life is like I expected the worst at all times. I did not expect good things. And Nuggets fans really didn't have any reason to think good things would happen to them until 2023. And that's what winning a championship is so great for doing, amongst the experience of living through it. And I said to people that night to enjoy that one, because you never know what's going to happen. There was a lot of like talk of what was going to happen after. And I was like, just be here in the moment. But at the same time, winning that championship means that you're no longer that franchise where everything goes wrong. I understand wanting to be like, it's not our year, because you want to manage expectations, because this year has been frustrating. I don't really know what to do with the fact that it has felt so frustrating to a lot of fans. And I don't know if that's just some of the online fans, if like casual fans are still pretty okay with everything. The Nuggets are 33-19. They're 14 games over 500. They're 3rd in the Western Conference. The Houston Rockets are still not playing very good basketball, to be perfectly honest with you. Their fans are way more frustrated than you guys are. The Nuggets are 4-6 in their last 10. They have had all these injuries. It's possible they just never get healthy. That just like, this is what happened. It's just like, man, they were so good that year. They just couldn't get it together. AG came in and was out and came in and was out. Peyton's probably going to miss a couple weeks here, guys. Like, that's a hamstring injury. You got to be cautious with it. Otherwise, he'll just come in and he'll suffer a worse injury. It's not good. We don't know when Cam's coming back. We don't know Christian's back. We don't know when AG's coming back. It's going to be a month. Not going to be till March. It's possible. Like, I've maintained that they get to March, they get the home team, they get home games spread out, which again, I'm going to go back to this, spread out home games. And they could get healthy and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, look who's back. I can absolutely see that happening. But this January took a lot from them. It took a lot from Jamal. It took a lot from Peyton. It took a lot from Bruce. It took a lot from Val. All these guys had to play a lot of minutes that they are not used to. And that's really tough. Not Jamal. Jamal's used to tough minutes. It's possible that it's just not your year. But if you are a fan and you want to be optimistic, if you want my honest, clear, objective view, I still believe that the Denver Nuggets are a championship contender. not just a contender. I think they are clearly the number 2 team in the league. And I think they are the team with the best chance to upset the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm not moved by the result on Sunday. Like, there's never going to be a regular season game that convinces me of what's going to happen. If you want the proof of that, the Clippers absolutely punked the Denver Nuggets in 2020 before the bubble. They punked them. And it was like, they're soft. And it was like this whole thing of, well, it's a shame. The Nuggets are this team's just soft. And the Nuggets were tougher than the Clippers when it got to be actual adversity in the bubble. That was like the first time that I was like, oh, okay. These regular season matchups, I will tell you, I've done this a lot, and I do this for all the teams. The regular season win-loss doesn't matter. The matchups matter. And I think that there are problems that the Thunder loss exposed. Like, they're not there. They're not where they need to be. Not even close is not saying it. They're not where they need to be. From a health standpoint, obviously, but they're also not there from an execution or matchup standpoint. I don't think the coaching staff is there. They got to find more answers. But I also think that if you choose to believe in this team, I think you have reason to. I think you have more reason to believe in this team than to not believe in this team. But if it makes you feel better to be like, this team isn't good enough, what I will never go for is like they're letting Jokic down. Come on, guys. Like, this team is 33-19. Like, this team is 33-19. They have the number 1 offense. They have another all-star next to him after everyone complained about it. AG's been great when he's been able to play. It's not their fault that AG's had injuries. Not like AG has been it's not Anthony Davis. Christian Brown is having a bad season. He had 3 really good seasons before this one. Like, Cam Johnson is a really good player who has not been able to find a rhythm and was just playing well before he got hurt. Like, you can't sit here and say that this team isn't good enough and they need to make massive, drastic changes. That's not reasonable. You can't look at the results and think that. You just can't. They have a good enough record. They have a good enough win profile, everything. But it is frustrating that it does seem like the Nuggets can't catch a break. And that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you catch all the breaks and you're just not good enough. And sometimes you just don't catch all the breaks. Now, a good question is like, what do you do? Somebody asked this in the comments. What do you do if we don't win this year? What do the Nuggets do? You can't give up. You don't just be like, well, that's it. So long, Nicola. You try and find the right combination. And if you believe Peyton Watson is a star talent, like Swipa does, then you trade Cam Johnson or Christian Brown and you re-sign Peyton Watson. If you don't think Peyton Watson is a star in the making and he is replaceable and you'd rather have the stability the other guys provide, you trade him in a sign-in trade. That's what you do. But I don't think that you give up. You don't give up on the core. You don't give up on this concept. Like, you can't sit there and go like, Jamal Murray finally makes an all-star team, has the best season of his career, and now it's like, well, this clearly doesn't work after you won a championship. That doesn't make any sense. They are going to fail the 40-20 rule, and that's a problem. 90% of NBA champions have crossed the 40-20 mark. 40 wins before 20 losses. You have to get 40 wins out of 59 games, and the Nuggets have no more losses to give. They are out of those losses. They have to go 7-0 starting now in order to hit 40-20. They're not going to do it. Now, there's other thresholds. I've talked about this, top 3 seeds, right? SRS at 4.0. And they can be the exception. Exceptions happen all the time. But I do think it's enough now to be like everything is kind of catching up to them. The NBA season is so much about attrition. It just is, man. You just got to survive it. I learned this from watching the Spurs. The reason I talk so much about things like your home games, your division games, and teams versus 500, under 500, is because when I was a CBS and I was doing all this analysis, I really wanted to know, like, the Spurs are always here. They always win 50-plus games, 55-plus games. How do they do it? So I started looking at the numbers, and it was very evident. The Spurs would have rested on the second night of a back-to-back versus the New York Knicks. They would have sent everybody home. They would have been like, no, we're not playing anybody. It's not good for us. It's not a good opportunity. The fact that this was a national TV game matters, right? It matters. It's a problem. I would just take the fine. I just would. You have to proceed. It is the league's fault they schedule marquee matchups on the second night of a back-to-back 3 and 4. That is their fault. And that to me is like, it is not the Nuggets' fault that the schedule was put this way, but the Spurs would have rested everybody tonight. Because the Spurs didn't care. They weren't concerned with proving themselves, or they just managed the season. And then they figured it out when they got to the playoffs. They really did. The objective was like win enough games to get a top 3 seed and then make a run. And they did that. So that to me is like how they need to prepare it. A lot of talk of like not our year. I just don't know what that does for you as a fan, right? Are you just gonna stop watching? You gonna pivot to just watching the Avs, which you should. The Avs are good. They won tonight. Good job. You don't have the other major sports team, because the Rockies are not a major sports team. We can be honest about that. You don't have the other one until September. What are you gonna do? It's winter. And besides, like, you want to be a devoted fan. I know you want to be a devoted fan. This team's worth believing in. Jokic is the best player in the world. He's having a bad week off of a knee injury. Jamal's finally an all-star. Peyton's developed into a looked like a star at times. He's having a great season. Julian Strawther's playing well right now. You're getting good minutes. Team's good. Team's good. Be patient. I know it's hard. I know it's easier to be like, if they don't make a trade, this season is over, because that's what everyone thinks fixes everything is a trade. Trade doesn't change anything. I don't think they'll do anything tomorrow. I could be wrong, right? I haven't talked to the Nuggets front office at all. So it's entirely possible that Cam Johnson gets traded tomorrow, or Christian Brown gets traded tomorrow. Jamal Murray gets traded tomorrow. Aaron Gordon gets traded tomorrow. Nikola Jokic gets traded tomorrow. It's entirely possible. I have no idea. I don't expect any moves outside of Hunter Tyson to get traded with a second round pick to move the money off of it and save them the tax money. They're just going to do what a lot of teams have done. They're not the only one. I don't agree with it. Personally, I don't think you should do that. It doesn't sound like Mike Conley's going to be an option. It sounds like he's going to re-sign with the Timberwolves after the Hornets buy him out. I'm not expecting anything for them to do anything, but if they do, we'll have you covered here on Locked On Nuggets. Show tomorrow. Swipe and I will talk about all this. We'll try and break it down and look ahead to the weekend as the season continues before the All-Star break. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you guys being with us. You guys have yourselves a great night. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy the trade deadline madness. We'll see you guys again next time here on Locked On Nuggets.